Hello, Internet. My name is Chamomile.
And I'm Requiem. It's like we almost made it to my. There's my apartment complex, Cam.
The giant obsidian monolith surrounded by thunderstorms?
Yeah, what were you expecting
I was kind of expecting, like, an apartment.
in Arkansas?
Okay, that's fair.
Also,
Anyways,
congratulations, by the way. It was a very beautiful ceremony.
yeah, I mean, you cried through the whole thing, so I guess that's good. I'm glad one of us is happy, I guess. This is why I have vision boards about you. So yeah, because we did not suck the entirety of the life force out of that disguised hag there, the one who starts out as maiden, becomes mother, and then ultimately crone the more times you ask for her assistance, she's still in maiden form, because I am stubborn and like to do things myself. But if she's alive at all, regardless of what stage she's in, she gives you a final prayer.
In my dreams, I heard your footsteps coming closer. In my dreams, I tried to talk to you and introduce myself. Guardian of the miracle and of the miracle banner, with great pain, I carry the emblem of the Father. I am the hands of bloodied skin. I am the eyes from which our mother gazes. And nothing I know of you, apart from your cold, nameless visage,
It's
apart
because I'm
from
the
your
sun.
calloused and wounded hands, apart from the mourning of your deaths. No, I know nothing of you. Only the miracle knows.
I am Sword Jesus.
Now may your sword full of guilt with mine of gold collide. Then hurt and march in procession. I curse you forever in name. I bless you forever in death.
Alright. Now, I don't recall this guy being too tricky. However, I should probably pay attention at all. It will almost certainly take me, a couple of attempts to remember his attack patterns. And also, he does do a lot of damage, so I should probably actually pay attention to my health bar and, heal it. Died with maximum health potions. Once again, there are no actual obstacles between me and the final boss, between the final checkpoint and the final boss, but I nevertheless have to run up a bunch of stairs.
In my heart I am not
He even goes through his entire spiel at the end,
At least they let you skip it.
I
right? Like, this is a game with hard boss fights, which is fun, but it does mean that, don't put a bunch of dialogue between me and the boss. I don't think I can deflect these. Yeah, no, I can't deflect these, but then he stops being, his shield goes down after just a couple of seconds. So yeah, there are a bunch of charms that can protect you against specific elements. Poison, fire, lightning, etc. He's got attacks for all of them. So there's no specific charm you can put on to defend yourself against his attacks. Or at least not all of them. Okay, first form dealt with. That's, pretty easy.
You have shattered
We were a little worried about topics, but we might not have time to talk about anything anyways, at the rate you're going.
I forget how long the credits last. We'll see. In any case, his first form is considerably easier than his second, so. Like, the
His
first
second
form is almost a fake out. So in addition to Catholic guilt, this game also seems to be saying something about Catholic decadence, although once again, just kind of running into the room and shouting the words before leaving. Ah, damn it. Once again, had plenty of health potions left, just got cocky about how long I could put off taking one. Speaking of topics, though, so HBO, it is HBO, right? Doing the new Lord of the Rings prequel series?
I don't know if it's HBO or Amazon.
I think it might be Amazon. But in any case, in the new prequel series for Lord of the Rings that coming out, the creators, whoever they are, have confirmed that it will contain hobbits who fuck.
Not necessarily literally, but that's just what we've been just calling it.
Yes. What they've actually said is that they have explicit sex in their Lord of the Rings show, which absolutely it just feels like bandwagoning on Game of Thrones, trying to recreate that success and just having absolutely no idea why that show was popular. You know, it wasn't the titties. You know, that was shocking and titillating, so people talked about it a lot. But, you know, when is the last time you saw elaborate fan theories for porn?
The focus on the sex is always a little weird, because, like, in the age of the internet, like, you can get something so much more explicit than anything that Game of Thrones could offer at its most explicit. Like, there's a limit to what Game of Thrones can put in the show. Like, whereas porn, like, it can be literally anything. And then you get the fact that
porn can also get into some weird shit, whereas Game of Thrones is some, you know, it's all pretty basic. It's all just, you know.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, so as far as being sexy goes, Game of Thrones is, I mean, it's not bad. That's like the best you can say for it. And again, you know, I support the idea that erotica is a legitimate genre that we should just be that we should be more willing to mix with other genres and do both genres well, not just the erotic part. But I mean, that doesn't mean that you need an erotica Lord of the Rings unless it's some kind of dumb parody, in which case I guess that could be kind of funny. But
hobbits you fuck.
Yeah, like, yeah, this is insane. The idea that Lord of the Rings needed to be sexy. Trying to get up to smack that guy's face. But alas, his attacks have... Oh. I know what I need to do. Viridiana has prepared me for this. That was the wrong thing. Crap, I forget what the cast command is. Oh, that's the problem. I didn't have it properly equipped. Yeah, see, this last one, I ultimately find Chrysanta harder, but this is like a real boss, whereas the first one was basically just a fake out. So, we may indeed have some time to discuss Hobbits Who Fuck.
I feel like we've said what we needed to say about that.
A bit, but I do think it's worth, because we've talked about how often the original creator of something does it with more nuance than imitators.
Yeah, like even with Game of Thrones, there's more nuance in the actual Song of Ice and Fire book series than there is in Game of Thrones, with Song of Ice and Fire is really sort of examining the role of violence in society and power, whereas Game of Thrones deteriorates into the cult of badass.
Yeah. Even when they were still had Martin holding their hand, like, the showrunners were making edits that, of course they had to make edits, right? They could not do a faithful one-to-one reproduction of the book. Even an 8-season TV show cannot contain a 7-volume book series. However, a lot of the edits they made were to, emphasize the violence that the characters did, rather than what the after effects of what that violence were. Once there was no more George R. R. Martin plot to rely on at all, it got particularly bad, as we discussed with, like, Cersei. But, yeah, Game of Thrones, as much as I do think I don't buy George R. R. Martin's excuses about lost track of my health again. I don't buy his excuses about how, like, he's just depicting, the lives of medieval people and people have sex. Like, it comes across as very much, almost every sex scene in the book, it comes across as like, yeah, this is his fetish. This is not a detached examination. This is going into far more detail than anything else.
In my dream, God, I am
But nevertheless, I mean,
now may die.
it is at least George R. R. Martin is indulging his own, weird fetish. I mean, fetish is even not quite the right word, because it's all very boring and vanilla stuff. But he is indulging, his own desires in a work where they are most of the time not especially appropriate. Where, just there are very obviously other ways to say the things that he's saying. Funny enough, the one sex scene that is actually reasonably necessary is the one where little Babby Bran sees Jaime and Cersei fucking. But because he is a tiny little kid, because he has so little idea of what's going on, it isn't described in very much detail at all. Like, it is described in just enough detail that adults can figure out what he's seeing. But he is mostly just confused because he's like 7.
That's another thing that went nowhere. Both when he is the Three-Eyed Raven, like, him being the Three-Eyed Raven has no point. When he finds out via being the Three-Eyed Raven that what had happened to him, that Jaime was the one who pushed him off the tower, there's no repercussions for that. Also, the one Stark sibling ends up having no point. The youngest brother, I don't even remember his name.
I have entirely forgotten this character, so I guess that makes sense, seeing as how the character was ultimately pointless.
Yeah, he did. He might as well not even existed.
Oh yeah, no, I remember. I remember there was someone who was with Bran when they were being chased by the one guy that was from the Iron Islands.
Yeah,
There was-
Theon.
Yeah. Like, I dimly recall that he was chasing after Bran and some other kid who had both fled from the castle.
But yeah, no point.
And I do have to wonder how much of that is just that George R. R. Martin is a gardener who decided to write a book series. Where, that means that once his first book was written, it was set in stone, and he could not go back and edit it. Hobbits who fuck.
That gonna be the title of this episode.
Probably. I mean, Jesus. It is such an obviously bad idea. And obviously, we don't know if it's actually hobbits. Given these things, it's probably not. It's going to be Aragorn or Legolas. Someone sexy. Probably Aragorn, because Legolas has to do...
Aragorn and Legolas.
Sure, why not?
I'm sure that fanfiction's been written 100 times already.
Oh, it's got to be, like, the second or third, if not first, most popular pairing in that fandom.
Honestly, I bet it's the most popular pairing is probably Legolas and Gimli. I hear about Legolas / Gimli all the time.
Really?
Yeah. They do sometimes seem like a couple.
It's true, but Gimli isn't sexy, which I assume drives a lot of this, personal compatibility comes into it, but I imagine that a lot of the fanfic community is basically just, which of these two actors do I want to see fuck? Right, like, my assumption is that the fanfic writing community, granted with some exceptions, but the exceptions aren't going to be driving most popular lists. So my assumption is that the fanfic community overall is not super sophisticated about character arcs.
Don't read a lot of fanfiction. And by a lot, I mean I don't read any fanfiction. No, I don't know at all.
I read fanfiction only very rarely, and it is because a specific work has been recommended to me.
Oh, you were so close.
Yeah, no, I'm getting this guy. It's definitely that second form that's the tricky one. With these
Game of Thrones not...
games that are, have hard bosses, multi-stage boss fights are cool and all, but it means that you have to make the first stage or two real easy. Hollow Knight had the same problem. The fight with the titular Hollow Knight is very easy compared to some of the other late-game bosses, because you have to be able to get through that fight and still be able to fight the Radiants without it being too frustrating. Same deal with this guy. His little skinless zombie form is pretty straightforward, because it's really, just the first phase of the real boss fight. I do also have the sword upgrade from that side quest. Which, whereas most of the sword upgrades are things you're expected to have, by the time you reach a boss. They're usually not too far off the beaten path. I think the side quest one, the final bosses, are generally made to be beaten without. Although, of course, a single sword upgrade doesn't make that big of a difference. It takes 2 or 3 to really stack up to a huge difference. One thing I will say, though, I don't think there is a single bad boss in Blasphemous.
It's like the Pathfinder Kingmaker of Dark Souls games, right?
Yes, exactly. I'm not sure I would call it a Dark Souls game. It's definitely got a certain amount of influence from
Of
it.
Metroidvanias, that's what I mean. So on a scale of 1 to Pathfinder Kingmaker, what would you rate it?
I mean, on that scale, I guess I'd give it at least a 2 or a 3. Like, I guess since Hollow Knight is my single favorite game ever, I should probably reserve a 1 for that. But, yeah. Ah, finally. I've got the advantage, but, it's still way too early to say for sure whether this is going to be the one. We've been in the elevator up your apartment for a long time. Does this thing work? Like, it does feel like we're moving, but, like, what floor do you live on?
It can't technically be represented by a number.
I guess that would explain the buttons. I had assumed they were just, like, written in some kind of Arkansasian script, but...
On the plus side, it's given you time to finally beat this boss, maybe, at some point.
Yeah. Bastard's starting to catch up with me in the balance of health, but I don't know, I've got him under a third of his health, and yeah, he's got me under a third of mine, so I'd say we are about evenly matched right now. I can't reach him. Here we are.
That's frustrating.
Yeah, gotta wait for the platforms to get in the right position to reach his face. The eye on his dagger is almost never out of reach from the ground, but his face can be. And this fire volley is so incessant that I always just have to give up on damaging him entirely when it comes out. Got him.
Finally. All right, see, we're at the floor to my apartment.
Finally, indeed.
Yeah, let me just hold on. Let me go grab something really quick, and we can head back to Utah.
Oh, thank God. It's just like the third door on the left. It's not like through some spiral-style infinite corridor. What was so important about this anyway? I mean, we're here.
Yeah, it's my library card.
Your library card.
Yeah. So
Now,
I can
is
check
this
out
for
books.
some kind of trans-dimensional super library reachable from anywhere in space and time?
It's not.
It's just like for the Little Rock Library,
Yeah.
which is like an ordinary library,
Yeah.
which you will not be able to reach from Utah without presumably going through like 9 months worth of Let's Plays first.
Yeah. My bad. Or should I say, mea culpa?